Hi, my name's Ashley Holcombe, and this is my capstone research proposal on navigating distractions in the classroom, specifically cell phone use and math success. The overall question that sums up the research is, how do self-regulation strategies, cell phone policies, and exposure to short programming viral apps impact student learning in math? The background info is that I've been in the classroom for 17 years. I was in the classroom before cell phones were present, and then when they first were introduced, and then when had internet access, and now social media. I've noticed a decline in my students' ability to problem solve, persevere in challenging questions, and a decrease in their self-regulation strategies. I've also noticed irresponsible cell phone use among my students. A recent study reveals that teens prefer TikTok, which is 15-second videos, and Snapchat, which is 3-second videos, messages. The cognitive developmental concerns are that, based on the research, we're noticing that 11 to 18-year-olds are spending over 11 hours daily on digital devices. 11 hours. So there is an urgent need for research into the educational effects of such digital distractions, where we focus on students' engagement and the productive struggle, specifically in math. The popular apps like TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, and YouTube, how is it impacting our kids' learning ability and their focus and attention, especially after prolonged exposure to it? Because the question is, if students engage with digital devices for an average of 11 hours a day, how can math teachers engage them for 50 or 90 minutes? So the purpose of the study is to evaluate the different types of cell phone policies on productive struggle in math and the students' self-regulation skills. Previous studies have underscored the distracting nature of cell phone use in the classrooms. There is a need for a balanced cell phone policy that will mitigate the distractions without compromising the student autonomy. Researchers have cautioned against outright bans on cell phones as it causes anxiety. It can actually discourage the use of integrating technology into learning. And some kids have cell phones as a coping mechanism for stress. So there is further exploration needed into how students manage cell phone usage in the classroom with restrictive policies or explicit cell phone policies, and how this affects their learning outcomes. We're going to evaluate interventions to foster self-regulation with cell phones using a mixed methods data collection from students and teachers in a quasi-experimental design. We're going to look at the student-centered approach for adopting cell phone policies and supporting their autonomy and self-regulation skills. The aim is to gain insights into best practices, interventions for promoting effective self-regulated learners, focusing on a technology-integrated learning environment, developing evidence-based support strategies, and using timely research to drive the discussion on supportive cell phone policies. Because as you know, the apps are changing, there's new ones, more addictive, they're becoming more addictive, so we need timely research into the problem. We will address a growing trend in the modern classrooms, which is the impact of the cell phone use on their academic success, prioritizing their input, promoting autonomy, aiming to mitigate distractions, and overall cultivating a supportive learning environment where we foster a sense of student autonomy, relatedness, and competence. The anticipated findings may shed light on the students' challenges in regulating cell phone use and contribute actionable insights for teachers and help optimize classroom dynamics, specifically in math. We want to understand how prolonged exposure to bite-sized media content is impacting the student focus during instructional time. So there are 4 research questions in this proposal. How does self-regulated learning strategies impact math learners' attention and engagement? How does an explicit cell phone policy impact student achievement in math? How do viral short programming apps impact student learning in math? What potential strategies or interventions can promote self-regulation of cell phone use among students in the classroom? The literature review centered around self-regulated learning reveals the following. So, self-regulated learning involves students actively using cognitive, metacognitive, and motivational strategies to achieve their goals, which are particularly crucial in math. And the recent shift to digital learning underscores the urgent need to prioritize self-regulated learning amid the changing dynamics in the classroom. Self-regulated learning is a significant positive influence on economically disadvantaged students and those with learning challenges. So there's where we are reaching the diversity in our learners. We want to investigate factors that support self-regulated learning in the classrooms, such as teaching styles, student volition, technological advancements, and the school dynamics. Fostering self-regulated learning in students is influenced by various factors. The teaching style that prioritizes autonomy and high expectations promotes the best self-regulated learners. Incorporating complex tasks and offering opportunities for kids to collaborate and promoting effective emotion regulation strategies in the classroom. Students who develop and practice self-regulated learning strategies are going to experience an enhanced academic success. The teacher-student relationships and motivation within self-regulated learning are profoundly shaped by emotional dynamics fostered by the teachers. The positive feedback and encouraging student autonomy will actually boost their motivation. Offering explicit instructions on self-regulated learning further promotes the academic progress and their motivation. Research shows the mere presence of cell phones in classrooms poses a risk to learning. Students who are trying to multitask between their phone and learning are actually just task switching because there's no such capability of parallel processing in the mind. Minimizing distractions, including managing cell phone use, is crucial for optimizing student focus, engagement, and their academic outcomes. If with cell phone policies, there are compliance issues. So it's important that there are clear and supportive cell phone policies that will enhance teacher credibility and show that we actually care about the kids and their learning process. And it will mitigate the resistance and actually improve classroom management. Effective cell phone policies will balance leveraging cell phones for educational purposes and respecting student autonomy. So this research revealed some limitations, the impact of cell phone use and cell phone policies. There are challenges associated with implementing restrictive cell phone policies. So this emphasizes the consequences of distractions and the need for a nuanced technology management in the classroom. There's a gap in the perceived threat to the autonomy of students, in understanding why they feel their freedom has been threatened when you're trying to implement a policy to protect their learning. So we need a better design and a communication of cell phone policies that would be fair and supportive. There's a gap in the students' perspectives and protective struggle. The current research lacks exploring their perspectives on cell phone policies and how it influences their ability to struggle productively. Understanding these perspectives could actually give us more effective policies that balance those educational goals with their student autonomy. There's a gap in the contribution to literature, and that would be examining how cell phone policies influence their regulation and their ability to manage cell phone use. So the goal is to inform development of interventions supporting focused learning environments. The research will take place at two high schools in neighboring districts, a Summit High School and then Ascend High School. Ascend High School has a district-wide restrictive ban on phones, while Summit High School has a cell phone policy at teachers' discretion. This setup is going to underscore the need to study the effects of explicit versus restrictive policies. The participants are going to be the students from 4 classrooms, 2 at Summit and 2 at Ascend High School. We're looking at a possible sample size of 100 students. The objectives are to examine the impact of varying cell phone policies, gather empirical evidence, and inform future educational policies and practices. So Ascend High School will just carry on like normal. They have a restrictive ban. If phones are seen, they're turned in to the front office. Teachers will not discuss any self-regulated strategies about healthy cell phone habits. The experimental group will be Summit High School, where they will adopt an explicit cell phone policy where students are going to have structured breaks from their phones to protect learning and minimize distractions. Phones are going to be stored in a cubby when they enter the room. They do have 2 minutes to withdraw from the phones and make the exchange for a graphing calculator, or they can actually charge their phones at a charging station, but the phone will be removed from the learning environment next to the student. The Summit High School teachers will begin each week discussing healthy cell phone habits. They will look for opportunities to gamify lessons and incorporate interactive polls for when students do have their phones. They will encourage tips like setting boundaries, designating phone access time, establishing phone curfews, turning off notification badges on those viral apps, being mindful of screen time as teens on average spend 4.8 hours a day on just social media, and implement strategies to reduce constant engagement, like maybe remove your password or hide the apps from the home screen so they're harder to see. The first week of class, the Summit High School teachers will ask students, what could you do with 5 hours of free time if you were not on social media? This research will run from August to December with a mixed methods approach, quasi-experimental design. The focus is the two different types of cell phone policies. The qualitative data collection will be initial and final interviews with students and teachers, field observations. We are looking at the evolution of class environments with autonomy supportive cell phone practices and the impact of teaching the kids, being more mindful of the time they spend on these viral short programming apps. We will assess student engagement through surveys and field observations with both groups, explore perspectives on cell phone practices and self-regulation strategies, and gather feedback on the efficacy of the restrictive policy versus the explicit policy. The quantitative data will come from 5-point Likert scale surveys and academic performance measures from common formative assessments. The data collection will reveal a baseline knowledge between groups with a pretest. Research question 1 will involve this survey, the 5-point survey, and 2 sample t-tests to compare the control versus experimental groups from the common formative assessments. Research question 2, the impact of explicit cell phone policy on student achievement. We will also look at the common formative assessments and look at descriptive statistics, the 2 sample t-test, and pre-test and post-test to measure the effect size on the math achievement. Research question 3, where we're looking at the impact of the viral trending apps. We're going to conduct interviews with the students to explore their usage and problem solving, analyze those interviews to find patterns and thematic elements, and provide a nuanced understanding of the viral apps' influence on focus, engagement, and learning. And research question 4, strategies for promoting self-regulation. We'll use interviews and teachers with teachers and students and field observations, gather feedback from them, and conduct those, look for patterns and thematic elements in the field observations. This is a mixed methods approach. We have both qualitative and quantitative. We're triangulating the data sources for a robust evidence and nuanced understanding. The theoretical frameworks at work here are Zimmerman's self-regulated learning theory and Brim's psychological reactance theory. These will inform the results from our study. The validity and reliability, there are potential limitations in this study. To mitigate these threats, we'll ensure transparency and address personal biases by conducting initial and final interviews with teachers to verify adherence to the policies Surveys will be anonymous. However, findings may not be generalizable due to the specific demographics and the small sample size. We will ensure participants start at a similar knowledge level by administering pretest and making adjustments in the sample groups to enhance the validity. The ethics portion of this research, of course, IRB approval, consent from principals, parents, teachers, and the participants will benefit from contributing to research that could inform best practices for future math classes and help local school boards adopt cell phone policies. The overall significance is to inform those evidence-based policies on use of cell phones in the classroom, offering guidance for implementing cell phone policies that foster self-regulated learners and improve student outcomes. And the study aims to empower participants with strategies that positively impact their well-being. The findings are relevant to all stakeholders, including students, teachers, parents, school administrators, and district policymakers.